Hello, I'm back again. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Charlotte. We are running a little business around here called Exhale, and Exhale is the UK's first mind body class to combine modern music with meditation, mindful movement, and breath work. And we have really enjoyed over the past couple of weeks introducing as many people as possible, to our training program, to our beautiful team of instructors, but also we've been introducing people that are just toying with the idea of becoming a meditation instructor. We've been introducing them into the highs, the lows, the mistakes that I've made, the pitfalls you can fall into, but also all of the ways to avoid all of that happening. So it's been a really super emotional and exciting 2 weeks. So many women that have stepped up and decided to join Team Exhale, which is amazing for me. But I'm already blessed enough to have an amazing team of instructors already. And one of these beautiful ladies is the lady on my, I don't know if it's my right or my left, how it shows up on your screen, but it's Jane. Jane is, I'm going to call Jane an entrepreneur. She's going to explain to you in a minute what she does and how she supports women. But it's my pleasure to be running another Exhale TV. We'll do hopefully another one tomorrow. And you can always catch these videos on the replay for you to be able to watch at your own time, or in your own time when it's more convenient for yourself. So if you do join us on the replay, make sure you are letting us know that you've been there by leaving the hashtag replay. And if anyone has any ideas about the conversations that you'd like to see us have, then please do let us know. So while we're waiting for a couple of people to jump on, I'm just going to let Jane introduce herself. And then if anyone wants any more information on what Jane does, at the end of the video, towards the end, we'll be popping up Jane's email address so you can contact her directly. So I'll pass the mic, so to speak, over to you, Jane. Do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are and your two businesses to begin with.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Charlotte, and thanks for having me on here. It's really exciting. I'm actually just at the very beginning of my business as Exhale, so literally hanging on to doing that last video that I've got to do. So this is good practice. And then hopefully, yes, I'll be able to get up and running. But my background actually was in retail. So I'd worked for massive company that look after Topshop and Doris Perkins and all of that since I'd left school. And I actually had like a 28-year career that took me all over East Sussex and Kent. So there was lots of different roles involved in that. I mean, I've done everything from admin to, running the shop floor and the nitty gritty, the whole side of it. And that was my career that I just absolutely loved. But as we know, when you have children and that things change. First child, I managed to go back part-time. Second child, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I decided to work for myself. And that was when I created my first business, Busy Birds, because I realised there was a lot of women like me that were also in the same position, that they were trying to run a home, run a business, walk the dog, do the shopping, look after the children. And actually there's so much pressure on women these days. Equally, there is men as well. I don't like to shut men out, but for women, there's so much involved in a day. And I just thought there must be so many other women like me that are trying to juggle everything. So Busy Birds is a networking group for women. So any woman that runs a business or is self-employed, no matter what size, can come together to talk to each other. Ordinarily, obviously, we'd meet in person. And we'd have a meeting once a week in 4 various towns local to me down in East Sussex. Obviously, at the moment, we've had to move it online, so we just do 3 a month at the moment, just to stay in touch with everybody. And I go in with that advertising my beauty business that I run, a very small part-time beauty business. So I work out of a local salon, and that means I can promote that with the networking group, but also I'm kind of earning from that as well. So that's kind of my back. I'm 51 now. I've just turned 51. So I got to that stage as well where I think I was looking for something completely different. I had I'm tired of all the running around and the being here, there, and everywhere, and still only just getting by. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, Exhale just came along to me at the perfect time, as these things do.
Yeah.
Lockdown has changed a lot of things. It's
Yeah.
made me look at things completely differently. I am a little bit of a stress head, actually quite a lot of a stress head,
Yeah.
and I have had anxiety as well, quite bad in the past, through various traumas that I've been through. The kinds that just turn your world upside down. And I think, like I said, turning 50 and everything as well, and all of those things has just really made me look at how I look after myself. And that's where the meditation has stepped in for me.
Do you
So
know what's
yeah,
really gorgeous about everything you've said there and your journey with all those different businesses is it's almost like the healing journey that you've been on yourself, the situations that you found yourself in, you were then able to turn that into a business in thinking, well, actually, if I'm struggling with this, I found a solution, or I know what's missing, or I know what I need. You've just gone out there and created that. And I think
yeah,
that's what makes those kind of businesses really powerful, because you've not just invented it, you've not just invented an ideal client, you are it. So
yeah, exactly,
it's really nice
exactly.
to hear that.
Yeah,
That's common with all of your businesses.
yeah. I mean,
Nice.
I love them. I love them all, and Busy Birds in particular is just how I imagine this new business of Exhale to be, because it's all about bringing people together. And
Yeah.
I'm such a strong believer. One of our taglines for Busy Birds is that women empower women.
Yeah.
Um, and I've just got so much out of that. And sometimes the members come along. It's not a massive business. Sometimes there's only 6 of us on a call, but each one of us at that time, it's just about us. And
Yeah.
that's where I think it's similar to the Exhale, where when
Exactly.
you're in that moment, that's all that matters. And actually, it's so powerful.
Really powerful. And I think at the moment, Exhale is similar in that it's, as you say, it's an all women team. And I think there's something so powerful about that. I mean, it might change, and we might end up with male instructors, who knows, in the future. But at the moment, I think we're gaining so much strength from each other. I feel there's almost like I'm not a mad feminist, but I do feel like there's like a female kind of uprising,
Yeah,
like we're lifting ourselves
I
up
think so.
above all of the things that were holding us back. I mean, I talk a lot, don't I, about all of the ways that society tells us you must look a certain way. So you must be a great mom, be an amazing partner, you must be a size whatever, you must wear this type of clothing, you must
Yeah,
shout at your children, you must cook an amazing meal. And I
yeah,
think all of that stuff is like all these timelines, these expectations, and these judgments that are placed upon women, that I'm sure if I was a man, actually, the things that I noticed about things that are imposed on men as well. But I can only speak from a woman's perspective, and it's hard. And I think with lockdown has kind of exaggerated that a lot
yeah,
as
yeah,
well. It's kind of like magnified all of this judgment, especially now. I find it really interesting the way everything's turned online with like
yeah,
social media. It's almost like now you've got a window into someone else's world. So we use that feed or those photos of someone's highlights where they have managed to nail homeschool and they have
yeah,
a nice meal on the table and they still look amazing while they're doing it. And you sort of use that to like punish yourself, don't you? Go, I'm not doing that. So there's obviously something wrong with me. So do you want to
We're
just
terrible for that. Women
it's
are terrible for that, aren't they?
aren't
Yeah.
we? So do you have any like what are your top tips in terms of dealing with that, and also just in general, how on earth have you managed to get keep your businesses going throughout lockdown? Any top tips?
Do you know what? I think I'm not gonna, pretend I'm any better than anyone else, and I am really not. And I do have the days where I'm really not feeling it. And I think one of the biggest things is just to take the pressure off yourself, because, you know, it's taken me a long time to realise that actually what I've got to offer is good enough. That's a massive thing, because we're always self-doubting ourselves. Obviously, with the pandemic and that, moving it online was a really big step, because I was like, well, I can't do that, you know. So I just think we've got to believe in ourselves, and the whole thing with this meditation coming along when it has was just paramount to me, because I was at that point where I just couldn't do anymore. So lockdown back in March was brilliant timing, because I was at the end of my tether. I was like, I am constantly on the go. I'm constantly chasing my tail, and I'm not even rich because of it. You know, there was no. I'm like, is this what it's all about? And I've been told so many times, and I hear it all the time about self-care, and I've never really grasped it. And I've realised now, as I've got older, as I've had the anxiety and the stress, just how important it is. And everywhere you go, people say meditation. So I just think if you look after yourself, then the business is just going to flow. It's the same with anything in life. If we look after ourselves, then everything else will hopefully just, you know, start to turn a bit smoother as well. So I sound like I've got it all together, don't I? I haven't, but that's why I'm so excited about Exhale at the moment, because it's kind of ticking all the boxes, really. You know, it's going to make me do self-care for myself, but also be able to provide it for others. And I am a huge empath and a huge sort of carer. I'm always wanting to be there for other people. So if I can deliver this and nurture myself at the same time, then it's a win-win. So that's what I'm excited about. Every time I think, well, I need to do it for myself. I need to do it for me. So I think that's one of the biggest things, is I've learned to start to put myself first a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting. A couple of things I wanted to pick up there on what you were saying. The first one is absolutely the common thread through all of the instructors is, you know, like it might look like I got it all together, but we are just normal people.
Human,
yeah, human beings. And meditation allows us to just keep on going. So it's not turning us into superheroes that never shout at the kids, that never miss a day post, or email the wrong person, and all those things. It's just allowing us just to keep on keeping on, and also have that sense of connection to ourselves, and that develop that sense of self-compassion. But the other thing that is common with all instructors is that it's really nice that the way that we deliver our sessions, particularly with the self-led section in the middle of the class, you get to practice you do your meditation there, because it's self-led. The people in your class are doing it by themselves, and you're just literally holding space for them, so you can do your practice in that room as well. Plus the training itself kind of forces you into this sort of like accountability, where you've got to get your meditation diary in, and you've then got to show up on your practical and kind of know what you're talking about and things. So it really helps with that. But the main thing I wanted to say was, with self-care, I don't know about you, but for a long time I felt like that was something that other people did. So I was like, I haven't got time for that. Like, who's got to do that? How is a bath going to help me? Or, you know, how is I just really didn't understand what it actually meant. And I think it's getting across to people that actually it feels counterintuitive, doesn't it, to take that time. But what we do in that time, if it's used productively in a way that nourishes and heals yourself, you're going to be more productive, aren't you? You're going to be more effective. You're going to, like you say, that resilience level is going to go up. And it really bolsters your confidence, because you're firing on all cylinders again, doesn't it? You're coming from that place of calm. And I talk about this a lot, but when we reconnect with our sense of calm through our breath, or through our movement, through our meditation, you then have a clear head again. So you've got your clarity, you've also got your creativity back, and also you've let go of all of that negativity, all of that self-criticism. So we're then operating from that place of confidence and courage again. So
Yeah.
definitely, do you agree with me in that it always feels like it was something? It's getting better now, but I used to view it as something that somebody else
Yeah.
that's living in a mansion with a nanny does, rather than me with my
Yeah.
child.
It goes back to that, what we said just now about comparing as well, isn't it? You just think, oh, that's for those people.
Yes.
Whoever those people are, we imagine in our head, like you say, the ones with more money, the ones with more time or whatever. But actually, who's to say they're not the ones that have got it right? And we need to be doing it. But I think for me, it was always guilt as well. I thought, but there's always something else to do, and my children have to have this. My children need this first, My children are a little bit older now, obviously, so that makes it easier. But for years, everything I did, constant. I'm like, I wouldn't even sit down in the evenings. I just never. If I had a bath, it was like, oh, that's going to take too long. I'll have a shower. There was never ever time for me. And
No.
it's really, it's when you look at it, and it was, if it was your friends. If someone said this to me once, if it was your friend and you could see them, running themselves into the ground, struggling on different levels and, trying to hold it all together, you say to them, just stop and slow down and nurture yourself. And you did, didn't you? You tell it to a loved one, so why don't we do it for ourselves?
This is it. And I think the more that you do it, the less time that you need to spend doing it as well.
Yeah.
So it can be just those little pockets of time throughout the day. So you talk a lot about how I might do my meditation. So when my little boy was a little bit younger and I was putting him to sleep and I had to sit on his wall, you've probably been there yourself, waiting for him to fall asleep, and you're like, I've got the ironing to do, I've got whatever else to do downstairs, and you just whack in that room. And I used to do my meditation practice then. So just 10 minutes while I was sat holding his hand or something while he went off to sleep. And now I do waiting for a meeting or for a call or, yesterday I was playing a game with children and then I just was a part of it. I was a patient in the hospital, so I just did a little meditation then. So it's where can I? Because they said, "Oh, wait, there, you've got to wait for your X-ray." So I can wait, just do a meditation. So I think the more you do it, the less length of time it kind of needs to take. It's just popping you back up again. And then I know that today I'm doing much more on my game. I'm back at that balance starting point again. And when I'm in that point, I talk a lot about the ABCs, don't I? So I say, the more that we practice paying attention to how we're feeling, the stronger that muscle becomes, so that I'm able to catch myself before I burn out or before I break down. And I can find balance. And then from balance, so from the B leads to the C, which is the calm and the clarity. And it kind of goes in that circle. We start back at A again, where we're more aware of when we need to take a break. So, do you want to talk to me a little bit before because we've been on nearly 20 minutes already. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you plan on integrating your two businesses? Have you got any ideas around that?
I think initially as well, when I first get going, it's going to be good practice for me to do a couple of trial runs. So I shall offer that out to my Busy Bird members first of all.
Yeah, lucky.
So they can have a taster. But like I said, it's going to be another avenue for me to promote it, which is going to be awesome. And obviously all those other women, from whatever backgrounds they've got, are all also looking for something. I feel people are probably looking for this but don't even realise they're looking for this at the moment. So my aim will be to use Busy Bird to get it out there as much as possible. Because the more people we can help, the better.
I think people don't realise that apart from that well-being story that we have in our minds and that self-care story that we have in our minds, people don't realise that meditation can feel joyful and it can be supported by like modern music. It doesn't have to be the whale music, it doesn't have to be pan pipes necessarily, although there's nothing wrong with either. But I know for some people that kind of puts them off from starting the practice again because it makes it feel like it's something that other people do, and
Mm.
it's not who I am. So what I love about Exhale, and the ladies at Busy Birds are like in for a treat really with this, but it's just the music that we use just allows it to feel a little bit more like you and more like a treat, you know, something that you would enjoy.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting actually that we've got an opportunity there to talk to people about meditation, remove all of those barriers that make it difficult for people. And we don't ask you to sit in silence. We don't ask you, we do for just the smidgy bits. First with the movement sequences and the breath work. So you've always got something you can focus on, something that's going to kind of ease you into relaxation rather than just taking you straight from the desk and plonking you down onto the meditation instructor. Because have you found that people, how receptive have people been to have you told people about your meditation practice? I know some people kind of like we hide it away a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't say anything initially because I think I felt I wanted to get quite a way into the training until I felt confident enough to talk about it. So I kind of said there was something in the pipeline. I've told them that it involves meditation, but not as you would imagine or as you'd probably know, and that it's a lot more, there's got a modern twist to it, and it's like really easy. And then I've been just drip feeding them, yeah. So I've said I've nearly finished. I'm like that close to completing. So I think they're gonna, yeah, I think they're gonna love it. And the plan is, like you asked about the businesses. At the moment, I can't do beauty at all anyway, so it's a really good time for me to launch.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed, I'm hoping this just takes off really well, and then maybe I can put the beauty to one side, which is something I've been thinking about anyway. And I would then, put my efforts into building an Exhale business and then running that alongside other women in business.
Yeah,
So
so talk to me. I'm excited. I'm excited for you. So excited. There's so many, like I say, there's so many new instructors coming on. It's like an amazing time.
It's perfect timing, isn't it, for this?
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's amazing time for me professionally, personally, for the brand, but also for all the new instructors. So I'm super excited.
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah, but before we go, talk to me a little bit about why you think that Busy Birds is primarily about networking. And so for women that have their own businesses. So talk me through like why should I obviously know networking has been really key, particularly in the past year for me. I was like, I haven't got time to network. It's another one of those, I haven't got time to do it. I've got all of this other stuff to do. But since I've really embraced that and started to really network, I have seen some big changes in my business. But do you want to talk us through why people should take the time to go to a networking event such as the ones you hold?
Yeah, I think because when I first learned about networking, someone said to me, "You need to do networking. It's a really good way to get more business and more leads and things." And I thought, I didn't think I was confident enough.
Yeah, that's
I thought I can't afford it. It's going to be expensive, or it's going to be, big businesses. It's going to be this, this, and this. Which is why Busybird is actually very, very different. It's very affordable, and it's even people with micro businesses. There's no tie-ins, there's no real expensive memberships or anything like that, which is why I created this one in particular. But I do believe it does work in the fact that it's raising your profile, and that's especially at the moment when we're not out there physically.
yeah.
Advertising our brand or pushing ourselves, word of mouth, a wonderful tool, but we can't do that at the moment. So I realised, and I actually did a training, and when I started, I created a training to introduce it to new people. And one of the things I always said was, people say I can't afford the time or the money or any of those things for networking, and I would say, well, can you afford not to get involved with networking? Because it's getting more and more popular, and there's many out there. My word of advice would be to go and try them because they're also very different. It depends on what your business is, what kind of person you are. Mine's women only. We did try mixing it up, but it didn't work so well. And actually, what it does mean is, you know, and I know we're much more up to date than we used to be and more modern, but actually women still are more comfortable in the
Yeah,
company of other women. And like I've said before, we empower each other. We can talk about everything, you know. You can rock up at my meeting, half of them are still eating their breakfast, or the kids are shouting on to say hello, you know, a bit like you've had on there, and it keeps it real. You
yeah.
know, we've got to be real. So I think networking is fabulous and it's absolutely worth a go. So they can ask me questions if they want. Yeah, obviously when we're back meeting in person, then it's more suited to people in this area down here,
Yeah.
Eastbourne and Hastings area I usually cover. But yeah, I think it's a brilliant, a powerful way of promoting your business. It gets your name out there, and also people need to keep seeing you. You know, you can rock up and do an amazing sales pitch somewhere, but unless there's that connection with you on a personal level, then people won't buy. So it's just about building connections. It's not always about making the sale.
No, exactly. I think it's about building those relationships, isn't it? And
Yeah,
one of the things that's been really powerful for me is the referrals that it brings. So
yeah,
when you are, I mean, you go with the intention that's, you know, to serve, to add to the group, to contribute, to, you know, like maybe share your advice, your tips, your guidance, and then doing that, especially if it's related and linked to your business, like it was in my case. You know, I could tell, you know, if you're really stressed, try this technique. Or if you're scared about going live, you know, you can try a meditation technique or whatever it is. I think it then became where people started to understand how meditation was applicable to them. So in my case, how my business was applicable to them. But also they started, as you said, to build trust and that relationship with me. And then they were able to really confidently go and refer my services, so my meditation practice, to their clients and to whoever else was in their family. So it's been really powerful, and it's saved me a hell of a lot of legwork because, you know, they've all got client bases as well. I love that it's just for women, actually. And I think it's really important in business, actually, because women think differently to men, whether we like it or not. And I don't want to sweep again, but absolutely we think differently. I think your vibe kind of attracts your tribe as well. So it is no mistake that potentially if you're an empath, there's probably a fair few empaths that come to your sessions. Well, whilst it's not a requirement, it's probably
it's true.
but, you know, I think it's a really powerful tool to pop in your back pocket and to absolutely make time for, alongside, as we say, the well-being like aspects of that we've already spoke about already. But I feel like actually that connection with other people is a form of self-care, particularly at the moment, because it can feel really isolating. I know it's isolating for everybody, but if you are self-employed and you are sat in your house on your own without the option to go on like a lot of the people that I know that work for corporate companies are on Google Teams or they're on Zoom meetings all day, whereas we don't necessarily have that. So I think those type of businesses where you are generating the opportunity for people to connect with other people are just so valuable at the minute.
It's that feel good factor, isn't it? You get after. I mean, I think sometimes, like I said, you know, it'll be, oh, I've got a meeting this morning, oh, I really can't be bothered, which is awful. And it isn't about the women or anything. It's just about how you feel yourself, isn't it? But when I get up and I put my face on there, and they're all like, "Oh, hi," and they're chatting about what they've been doing, and I realise how beneficial it's been to them as well. You're like, I'm really glad I did that. So it does. It makes you feel good.
It does, doesn't it? I know. And it's really easy. That's it. It's those kind of things that actually are most beneficial to us, like the meditation, like these kind of tools for business and meetings for business. We kind of do put them off. It's almost a little bit more sabotagey sometimes, isn't it?
Oh,
but,
you know. Yeah, I'm good at that.
Well, we all are, aren't we? Chloe's saying, this is really interesting, thanks. I'll have to give it a proper go. And she says as well, I really need to get networking. I find them so nerve-wracking. And
they are. They can be. That's why I say try a few as well, because and I did try a few myself, and that's how I realised what
Yeah.
kind of networking I wanted, and that helped me create my one. Um, because if you do find the right, like you say, tribe, then they do really work. I think you've just got to put yourself out there and forget about what other people might be thinking,
Yeah.
because that's what we do. We it is nerve wracking when you haven't actually done it. But once you've been, Chloe, you'll be glad you did. If
Feel
you
so
meet the
proud
right
of yourself.
people, yeah,
Feel
it's
really
good.
proud of yourself.
Once
I
you've done
think
it, it's easier.
it's just dipping your toe in that first time, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's really important to remember, and I think you touched on it there, is that fear is just it's just based on the set of beliefs that we hold about a certain situation or about life or about our position within life. And I think when you're able to witness that and know that, keep that in the back of your mind, when you feel yourself going in and telling yourself those fear-based stories, like, everyone's going to think my business is. I used to say stuff like this to myself. Everyone's going to think my business is really weird, or no one's going to know me, no one's going to talk to me. Like all of those weird things that we
yeah,
think only exist in our minds. But one of the things that's really helped me is, as I say, to separate it and understand that actually that's not fact. It's based on the beliefs that are from previous experiences,
yeah,
and things that I've soaked up from watching other people go through things.
yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean it's true and it's going to happen to me, but also just that understanding that we're all human. And when you voice your fears and say, you know what, I'm really nervous about this, everybody else is like, yeah, actually, me too. So I think that's really powerful. So in terms, I know Chloe knows this because Chloe is an Excel instructor anyway, but if anyone is absolutely freaking out about going to a networking event, remember those two things. And also remember, this is really powerful with meditation. It takes you out of that fight or flight state, so you can just sit in your car or sit with your brew before you log on to your Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of breath work, do a little bit of stretching, do a little bit of meditation to take you out of that fight or flight mode in your brain, which increases the volume on those really critical, really harsh words. We tell ourselves, those harsh stories that we tell ourselves that aren't necessarily true, increases the volume on that when we're stressed.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is turn that volume down, so the meditation will just allow you to turn it down. Might still be there, a little undercurrent, but then what you're able to do is come from a more balanced point where you can choose and understand, this is just my brain being human.
Yeah.
This is my protection mechanism, and all is well. And then you can walk back into that meeting feeling a little bit better. And sometimes it'll take me all the way there and I'm bouncing in because of all the wins from the meditation. Sometimes it's just enough just to get me through the door. And then somebody like Jane will be smiling and like, okay,
Yeah. I think as well, something else that I learned along the way is we probably always say, oh, they won't be interested in what I've got to say, or her over there, she does that, him over there, he's got this amazing business. But I think if we flip it and we say, actually, who's to say that there are people out there looking for what I've got to offer? So who am I actually to not go out and shout about it? So that's a really another good coping mechanism, I think. Chloe, if you take that approach instead, and do you know what, I want everyone to know about this, therefore networking is a good way to do it. But also don't be knocked back by, a negative person or a negative, impact. So it's not always going to be brilliant. Sometimes people say, oh, I came networking 3 times, I haven't had one sale. Well, it's not about that. It's not just about, you're not going to make a sale straight away. You've got to build that connection. So, yeah.
It's about, isn't it? It's that know, like, and trust factor that I think we get so het up on, like our social media posts and the way we show up online, which yes is important, especially at the moment. But I think there's so much you can do offline, and this is such a big part of it, isn't it? and just allowing people, like we said before, just to get to know you, so that they then are able to trust you enough to refer you and do the hard work for you. I've just popped Chloe's comment on here because I just think this will resonate with so many people. She said she doesn't want to go because she thinks, no one will talk to me. I'll be really awkward by myself in the corner. And I just think that's so normal and so
normal. So try one online now, and then you can always make an excuse to leave.
Yes. Oh, I lost my connection. Yes. Hopefully we won't have to do that. But it's been gorgeous to talk to you, Jane.
Thank you. I'm really relaxed into it as we've got going. At first you think you're going to, I had the same thoughts. I'm going to say the wrong things. I'm going to, not make any sense or whatever. But I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
You come across beautifully. Well, I was just going to say to you, is there anything else you would sort of recommend? What are your top tips? Say if someone is really at the moment thinking, do you know what, I don't know how I'm going to keep my business going, purely because of the sense of overwhelm that we have as women in business, trying to homeschool, trying to exist and survive the pandemic.
Sorry, quick plug in. I think, like I said, step back away from it sometimes and just stop and look at what's important. What can you step away? The pressure on the women at the moment, and I said this earlier on about the pressure women are under in general anyway, but especially now with this homeschooling and everything. You're not a teacher. You're not expected to be 100% teacher. If you need to take a morning off because you're not feeling it, then just do it. So I think listen to the signs and just do what feels comfortable. Yes, we have to push ourselves sometimes. But I think we definitely need to take the pressure off. The minute I started to do that, the minute I was like, you know what, it doesn't matter. Some things don't matter. Like we think. So it's that little voice in there you said earlier comes up and tells you things that aren't true.
That story that we tell ourselves about our worthiness, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is societal, a lot of that is, not really our fault. But what is important to know is that we can take responsibility for kind of topping ourselves back up and building, reclaiming that sense of self-worth and redefining what we see as success, and also owning that no matter what, just showing up in the midst of a pandemic, just getting out of bed and keeping the children alive, that's a win, and everything else will fall. I think it's like you say, when you take that pressure off, when you watch that self-criticism, when you allow yourself time and space to breathe. And that's something that Exhale does, because it feels gorgeous, but it's also that time. So you might prioritize it a little bit more, but it gives you that hour of just you time, just to sit with all that you are, with no expectation, with no judgment, usually in a group of other like-minded people, and just, I think, just putting those stop gaps in place, as you say, are really, really important. So take the pressure off, put the stop gaps in. Just be a little bit kinder to yourself. Know that
definitely.
Amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
But so that's it. So if anybody else wants to ask us questions, if anyone has any questions for Jane in terms of her business, how you can go to a networking event with Jane, because what will be beautiful now is that people have seen you. I think that's a big part of it as well, isn't it? People can see that we're not weirdos behind we understand the scale of it, I suppose. Please do reach out to Jane. And also Jane's obviously going to be launching her Excel sessions really soon, and obviously we are in the midst of launch, so I am looking for more instructors. I have to be really honest and say that we're really close to capacity for our next training intake, which it's so I can't tell you, it's so overwhelming for me. worked so hard, and the whole instructor team has really supported me. So thank you for any instructors that are watching, and Jane yourself for supporting me by doing things like this. But we do still have places available if you are quick. So I will pop the link to our training on the comments for this feed. So thank you everyone for joining us. It's been our absolute pleasure. Chloe saying this was brilliant. I'm glad she enjoyed it.
Oh, it's lovely.
Really lovely to speak to you, Jane.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it.
Good. And we'll see everybody soon.
Take care. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.